And welcome back to another episode of the Divine Mind podcast. Today we have KevinKoolx with us, or Kevin Lynch. I'm so excited to get to chat to him. He's a Halo content creator, someone who I think is doing a really great job of growing their brand leading into Infinite. He's had his own podcast, which was called the Halo Outreach Podcast. He's live on Twitch all the time. Probably one of the most consistent Halo YouTubers as well. So if you haven't seen him, then the links to all of his content is going to be in the description of this video, as it always is. But definitely check him out. But for those of you that already know Kevin, we're going to dive into a little bit more, getting to know him, his life, and how he kind of got into content creation, what Halo's done for him. And we're going to kind of pick his brain for Halo Infinite details as well, because I think, we were saying before we started, Kevin, you're one of the most, you'd have to be one of the most knowledgeable people on, information that's been released about Halo Infinite, right?
Well, I mean, if there's any more gas you can put in the tank, please do. Yeah, I feel like you got gas me up pretty good on that intro right there. But yeah, I do my research. I talk about Halo a little bit.
Well, hey, it's my job to gas you up. So I probably got a few other things I saved just to be able to use later on. But I'm really excited to chat to you as well, man. Was there anything I missed in the intro there that we should chuck out there for everyone else?
No, I think you got pretty good. Pretty much like what the people that the TLDR. I think you got it down right there.
Yeah, awesome. All right, well, I want to dive straight into the Infinite side of things, because I've just been loving all of this news and everything we've gotten. And the way that I wanted to kind of do it is just ask you if you had to kind of break down probably three of the biggest things that you think people have missed and don't normally see in YouTube videos. Are there some things that would come to mind?
Oh, geez, man. Three things that people just kind of miss when it comes to you. Think you're talking about the content creation or just the video itself?
Yeah, just from the information that we've had released to us, whether it's in articles or videos or whatever, things that people kind of reading that generally may have missed that you think's actually got a bigger impact or more relevant than what people have interpreted.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I gotcha. I think, I guess maybe news wise recently right now, with the mod support that Halo Combat Evolved just got on season 7, that's massive, legit mod tools for CE. And that just where it just opens the door for just so much more creation for people to, do some interesting things with Halo. You've seen with Cursed Halo was probably one of the most popular mods out there. That's just a combat custom edition mod from a game that was released 13 years ago or something like that now at this point, that was on PC. And just now that that's on MCC, that's huge. And then maybe they can see that kind of branch out to the other games, hopefully. But that's I don't think people would really understand oh, it's just tools. I don't mess with mod tools. I barely even play them. Why even bother? It was as people can create some really cool things that you can't do without just mod tools, and that's absolutely massive. But that's probably one thing that comes to mind. I think another thing was the most recent quote from the Inside Infinite update from June, where Joseph said something about integrating your Spartan into the story of Halo, which I think I uploaded a video actually today of when we're doing recording. It does talking about how it's kind of involving Reach in some way, and I think Reach has more of a factor to Infinite in some capacity or whatnot. Maybe more than storytelling, much more than just customization, having cool armor sets. But I think also when you talk about the story element with your Spartan, I think they might be talking about seasonal story arcs that we'll see played throughout multiplayer and various events, kind of like what we've seen with Warzone, Apex Legends, Fortnite, and stuff like that. How there really isn't a campaign, right, to tell a 6-hour, 8-hour long shooter story. They kind of tell it over these events throughout the seasons to kind of give you a overarching kind of context to why they're doing some kind of changes to the map or why there is a new map and things like that. So I think we're going to be seeing something similar like that with Halo Infinite.
Yeah, so just to recap on those two things, for people that don't understand really what the mods are about, you're talking about being able to integrate tools into the game that allow people that aren't employees or anything actually, access these tools, create new game modes, create, interesting ways of playing the game, that type of thing. That's
yeah, exactly. I think I just saw I subscribed to a Chunkier Bean, who was part of the Installation 01 team, and they were doing a fan created Halo game. I just saw him post a thing about he just put Halo Combat Evolved in VR.
Wow.
He he had the two floaty hands. He had and then he just jumped onto the Halo ring and Combat Evolved, and like just like within like a couple days, he has like Halo CE on VR.
That
Like,
like
oh,
that blows your mind, right? That's a
oh,
lot.
oh, yeah, like already.
Yeah,
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 like
that's
that
awesome.
would be insane to be able to play like CE on VR. Like, yeah, I would love to do that.
Yeah,
But
me
that's what I'm
too.
talking about with like the mod tool stuff, like capabilities of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Oh, I think that's a really good bit of depth to add. We'll have to get that video so I can put it over my face so people can kind of see it while they're
Mm.
watching, because that's so interesting. And then talking about open world, do you see them being like, as part of the map that you go to, something changes, and that's how they integrate like consistent story changes?
I could see something like that happening. Yeah, I think that's kind of like how we're gonna get like expansions to Halo Infinite. It's just more like a new area within Zeta Halo you can go play at.
Mm,
It kind of reminds me of like a little bit back in the day during Diablo 3, where they just like added in like a whole new section to like the world you can load into. So it's like just new playable spaces and things like that. I
yeah.
know some people are kind of like bummed out that's mostly going to be like foresty woodland kind of environments and stuff like that. Even though they mentioned like some other things like more rocky environments, swamplands and stuff like that, which were mentioned in previous updates. But most of it's gonna be kind of like woodland tree stuff.
Yeah.
But I think moving forward, like maybe every year, every 2 years, something like that, get some new update. Like this is the mountain range right here,
Mm,
and you can go fight bad guys in there.
yeah. You can go Skyrim style, just keep jumping against it.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool because in my head for some reason I really got the idea of it being like Destiny-esque, with the open world, but
Hmm.
probably on like a larger scale. And so when you were saying like if there's going to be story or like updates to the story and kind of including a Spartan, I'd be super interested to see if they could do something where like maybe there's like an arc or two, right, where like if you make a decision somewhere along the way in the like main storyline, additional content pivots for whatever decision you made, so that it'll still end up roughly in the same spot at the end, but maybe you go to a different area of the map than what you would normally, and maybe there's a particular enemy that you fight because of that choice, and somebody else is fighting a completely different enemy, right? uh,
Hmm.
I like that idea because I think it gives it more playthrough value as well. Like if you're that type of person that loves like Halo campaign, you go back and play each of those arcs if you can, right? I know I
Yeah,
would.
yeah. Oh
But
yeah, absolutely. But I think that's actually might be one way to try to incentivize people to buy into the campaign side of things. Because it seems like from what I've seen from like other games out there that they might be trying to utilize like the campaign as a way to kind of funnel events out of and through and stuff like that to kind of get people coming back to the campaign side of things.
hmm,
Because like I've said previously with like events and stuff like that, with those like Apex, Call of Duty, Fortnite, that like they change the map and then like they do put some context to it for like a story arc kind of thing.
yeah,
But I don't really see them being able to do that much with multiplayer, but they could definitely do something like that with campaign. And so maybe if you want to like earn the cool like a campaign stuff or
hmm,
more cool event stuff, you might have to play the campaign in some capacity.
yeah, yeah. I love that idea, especially if it's going to be multiplayer and you can do it with a group of friends.
Hmm.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and because I guess that's I love the idea of the battle pass. What are your thoughts on how they're going to integrate it and all the news that we've got around that?
Well, I think the battle pass. I mean, I kind of figured that was going to happen when they first mentioned it was going to be a live service game. I'm like, okay, cool, battle pass probably with that, and then just like they officially confirmed it recently. But I think like and they mentioned seasons and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, seasons, free to play game, going to be a battle pass, and plus the battle pass has just been a proven monetization model for free to play games where it's not too intrusive and
Hmm,
kind of increases engagement to the game and stuff like that. We do know now that with the recent update that there is a free tier and then there's a premium tier as well
awesome.
for the battle pass, and so that's good to know that like free to play players can still grind unlocks and things like that.
Yeah.
Most likely it'll probably work like I've seen like with Destiny, where they have a two-tier like paid and free version
Hmm.
where you can still like earn like the key beats of the battle pass, like maybe if there's a new weapon, a new
Yeah.
armor set or something like that. Like free to play players should be able to still earn that, but maybe like the premium players might be earning more like double XP tokens, or maybe like more like in-game currency to buy like actual items without having to pay real money kind of thing.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
what I can kind of see happening with like the more premium version or more shaders and things like that.
Yeah.
Or I should call them codings. But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I think that's kind of what we'll see when it comes to that. And I'm totally fine with it. I mean, it's a free to play game.
Mm,
I think, you know, the hardest part about getting people to play Halo is I think just to get them to play it. Because I
yeah.
think once they get a chance to actually, get their experience with it, they might actually find like, wow, this is actually really fun. And especially with like Halo being, I feel like a bit of an underdog right now within the FPS genre, between like, like I mentioned, the three big giants I've
Yeah,
been
yeah.
mentioning, and also various other shooters out there as well. That I think Halo needs to offer more than its competitors to get people to go like, maybe I should give it a go. I mean, like we've seen it with the Battle Pass already.
Mm,
Listen, like I don't want the you should keep the Battle Passes like Halo's doing now. That's what we're
yeah.
seeing other game communities ask of their game.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we need, right? Because I think that even if you look at Halo 5, and lots of people love to talk trash about Halo 5, and it wasn't even my favorite game, but I think that looking at it in hindsight, if it had had a cleaner start and offered more from the get go, more people would have
Hmm.
played it because it's a decent playing game, right? And
Oh yeah.
there's a lot of interesting things to it. So I'm glad to see that that the other communities looking in at Halo Infinite, news are like, wow, I like that idea because it shows that they're being innovative and going, okay, well, we have to change from the current model of things, so something slightly different. So I think it's really good that they do that. And I love the idea of just something that gives you month to month a reason to come back and check Halo out. Like the MCC stuff they've been doing, the updates on MCC is a really great example of that. There's so many OG players that are really enjoying being able to play, those old Halo games with a new community that are coming in and saying, hey, this stuff's really exciting. It's just that, it needs that new glossy finish of a brand new
Hmm.
game, I think, to kind of
Oh yeah.
add those things, together and see it. But do you think that there'll be, certainly you were saying just before, there'll be certain things on that battle pass that you need to play campaign for, and then certain things in that battle pass where you need to play matchmaking for? Do you think that'll be kind of something that's integrated into the battle pass?
I don't think there. I mean, I think for events specifically, you might have to do specific tasks within the game, play multiplayer, play campaign, or sort of something like that. But I think for the battle pass as a whole, I think it should. I think it's just gonna be something that you just reward players' time for.
Okay.
And so, I think probably like I think with like Reach, you earned like credits and stuff like that for playing the campaign or finishing missions and stuff like that. And I do feel like with Infinite that 343 is going to put a bigger emphasis on rewarding players' time in the game better than it did like in Halo 5. Because if
Mm,
you're playing like the campaign in Halo 5, you're just really playing the campaign. You're not, earning any rec points to earn, you get your unlocks or anything like that.
yeah.
Or maybe if you're playing Forge, you don't really earn anything either there as well.
Mhm.
So I think they're going to try to find some way to kind of unify the gaming experience to where you can just play whatever you want, do whatever you want, and you still earn progress to your unlocks through the game because you're just logging in and playing. That's the most important thing to get people to do.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
What are your thoughts on the changes with red and blue, and it's going to be outlines more so than the actual Spartans being those colors? What's your thoughts on that changing?
Kind of. I have a little interesting point to bring up about that, but for my personal opinion, I'm not too bent out of shape about it. I mean, Halo was the only game I knew of that did like a color-based team,
Mm,
um, you know, differential, I guess one word to put it. All the other games I've ever played out there that are shooters, like don't use like team-based colors to be able to identify what's an enemy, who's a bad guy. Usually they do it like an outline system, like we're seeing with Infinite,
yeah,
or like maybe just like their name shows up above their head and stuff like that. Like in Call of Duty, for example, right? Like I never really have an issue distinguishing who's enemy and who's foe,
yeah, never.
but you don't have an outline, you don't have team-based colors, but I can always just tell right away.
Yeah,
I honestly couldn't tell you off the top of my head why that is, but I just know it.
yeah, yeah,
And so with Infinite having like color outlines to enemies, I mean, if other games could do it, why can't Halo? You know?
yeah,
And you can also customize that color right as well, where like if you want your enemy team to be teal and your friendly colors are orange, you can
yeah.
do that, and that color will also be showcased on like the enemy bases as well, and
And the flags.
objectives and things like that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's
So
really
I'm all
cool.
for it.
Yeah,
And
same. I think it's one of those like. Sorry, what were we gonna say?
oh, I was also gonna say, like, since it also kind of ties into like the coding system as well, people are gonna be spending money on these codings,
Mm,
eventually in some capacity, right? That you want to be able to showcase that customization to other players.
definitely. Yeah.
And I actually did a poll on my channel where I did this before E3, about a couple weeks before E3. And I asked a question like, "What are your thoughts on the coding system? Removing the primary, secondary choice, but you have a whole coding you select." It was like 55% said they like it, 45% said they didn't like it. And then I asked the same question like a couple days after the E3 presentation, like percent did, only 11% said they didn't like it. So it's
Sorry.
kind of interesting, like now that you actually get a chance to see. I'm sorry, what's that?
No, you froze a little bit there. So what was the
Oh,
percentage
sorry.
difference? That's fine.
Okay, so before E3, 55% said they liked it,
Yeah.
and which is kind of indistinguishable about 50,
50.
50-50, for the most part. It was only like 5,000 people that voted on the poll. And that's only from like my YouTube channel. So it's like kind of a very niche bias kind of
Yeah.
poll. So, but then I asked the same question a few days after the E3 presentation, and 89% said they
Wow.
like coding system now.
Yeah.
I guess maybe just being able to see some kind of context and what you can do with it
Yeah.
really changes people's opinion. Because I remember people were very upset about not being able to choose your primary, secondary colors.
Yeah.
Me, I wasn't too upset about it because I never really like had like any affinity to like my colors or anything like that. And like I said, also you just be covered in red or blue anyways for the most
Yeah.
part, unless you're playing free for all.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, I liked the idea of the coding system, and I think it's good that they got rid of red versus blue. But then the reason why I think it's actually a positive thing is because you're moving towards what people are used to, right?
Yeah.
Realistically, right now the only way that the Halo scene is going to grow is if people decide that they want to play Halo more than Fortnite, Apex, Warzone, Call of Duty, Destiny, those types of things. So it has to have elements to it that people are used to. And I think that the red versus blue, for us that grew up with it, it's not dull, right? We
Mhm.
grew up with it. But for the kids, it's kind of dull. They're like, well, so you red or blue? Like, meh.
Yeah.
Whereas now, and you're right, like seeing the difference in codings, and this is what I think was really lacking from 343 until this year with the amount of news we got. Anything that we got about Infinite just had no context, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like up until this year, everyone's just like, okay, that all sounds kind of good. It kind of like I get it, but how does any of it fit in? And like for the campaign, we had very little idea what was going on with the campaign, right? Until we saw
Mm.
this release. Now we actually have a bit of a storyline where we're kind of going, whoa, what's going to happen here, right?
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
yeah, I think it's super interesting the way that they delivered information changed so much in a year, and that gave me so much more confidence that they know the direction they want to take the game now. So there must have just been, I don't know, it's been a rumor going around. I'd love to get your thoughts on it. We can only speculate because none of us we're not affiliated with them, right? But it seemed like there was maybe a lack of leadership in previous years leading up to it, where they needed someone to kind of grab the whole thing by its head and go, that's the way we're going, and put everybody on
Right.
the same trajectory to go, these are our things we're focusing on, and we're going to get it done, and we're going to communicate it clearly. What do you think? Or do you think that's, they just needed more time?
I don't necessarily know if it was an issue of leadership or being having like a clear message, because a lot of things that were kind of like leaked out or found out about Infinite were because of like, promotions or toy leaks and things like that. That kind of just like, since with that delay, but they had promotional material that had like hard set dates that were going to be released. And
Mm,
so we found out these bits of information without context, like you mentioned, like the way we found out about like armor coatings potentially being like $5, charging $5 for purple,
yeah, yeah.
because of like the cookie promotion, where you look at the terms of service says that the value of like the item you're getting in the game, which they had to legally say,
Mm,
is $5. So
mm,
you're like, oh my God, we're getting, nickel and dime for colors,
yeah,
basically,
yeah,
which is not exactly the case now that we know that like there's a battle pass, there's free versions, you can unlock everything from just playing the game itself.
yeah.
So like that's the one thing where I felt like with the armor coatings, I wanted to flip the table, but I needed more context. So my hands are underneath until we get some more information. And then after seeing like E3, I'm like, okay, we're fine.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, we're good.
And I guess like and again, when it comes like, and also like with story elements and things like that, like we've seen like through like toy reveals and for like mega constructs, that like obviously like 343 wasn't probably at the point where they could talk about these things in detail, or
Mm,
like when we found about like the challenge swaps and things like that. Some like challenges are returning in Halo Infinite. Found that out through Butterfinger promotions,
yeah,
and that was like what, last summer or something like that. And obviously things are subject to change, very subject to change at that point, so they can't really give much context besides just saying like, yes, we do have challenges, but that's all we can really say at the moment, because if they say anything publicly, people are going to hold them to that. And then if they change it, people are going to be like, development disaster, development hell, everything's terrible.
yeah.
Phil Spencer kind of touched on this recently in a podcast interview that he did, where they're talking about like, why does Halo Infinite not have a release date where like all these other games that you're putting out have release dates?
Hmm.
And he basically said like, well, we have it down to like a 3 to 4 week period right now, but they don't want to put like a hard set date, because they kind of want to see what the game market is doing, so they can select a good time for
Hmm.
Infinite.
Mm,
Because to me, what it sounded like, basically, since we know that Battlefield's releasing October 22nd,
yeah.
we do not know anything about the new Call of Duty game as well. We don't know the release date. The last Call of Duty released on November 13th, which is, if it was going to release this year, that'd be 2 days before the 20th anniversary. So you
Well,
actually
yeah,
don't
what
want to do
everyone's
that.
speculating.
And so they said, so you basically, I'm getting a little sidetracked, but basically he was saying like, you don't want to set a date and then have to backtrack it or change the date because it might feel like a failure in a way.
Yeah.
And so that's why previously, like with the leaks and information, that they just couldn't really provide much information because at the time it was so subject to change. And then if they had to backtrack on something they said that, well, this is what's happening right now, people would be
We were
flipping
read
out.
into it. Yeah. I think we're all ready to read into things as well, which is
Yes.
surprising that they've done. I think it's surprising that they've gotten such a good reception for what they've put out there, considering how ready everyone was to slam them again. You know what I mean? Like
I mean, it's been the trend for 343 to get slammed since, I don't know, the release of Halo 4.
yeah,
Even though 343 was the team that put out the the TU update for Reach,
yeah,
but which kind of saved the game there. But
definitely, yeah,
it was just like a popular thing to do, just because like 4 wasn't really that great
yeah,
and 5 was controversial, and
yeah,
so
yeah.
it was kind of and plus like negativity sells better than positivity
Yeah, which
generally.
is again just even another reason why it's so good that we've got so much positivity flowing around in the Halo community right now.
Oh
Because
yeah. Hmm.
and there's one of the things that I hate most about the Halo community is how divided we are between like old school players and new school players. And you know, I understand why, but there's so many people I would consider like yourself and the Patman Gaming and Ghost and Oath and the Real Life Spartan and all these people that are creating content around it. We're that middle ground because most of us are, between what 22 and 30 something, right?
Hmm.
And so because of that, we're in that older bracket that is just wanting Halo to do well, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
there's so many people that fit into that older bracket that are just like, I just want Halo 3 remade, like, and
Yeah.
that's the only thing they want. And then when it comes out and it's not exactly what they want, they're going to complain about it again, right?
Oh
So
yeah.
I think that it's so interesting that when there was so much negativity around Halo, with the release and all the information that we're getting and the constant, like, I don't know if you've noticed the amount of stuff just in general that's coming out of like the Halo Twitter, for example. Like if you go back, actually, this could be an interesting thing to do just to like get an idea of how they were going to structure their marketing and things that they were doing. Because before E3, I think we were getting from them like maybe 1 or 2 tweets a week, right? And
About
now,
that, yeah.
yeah, now we're getting
Mhm.
like almost a tweet a day, sometimes like
Yeah.
2 or 3 tweets a day. And like that to me shows that they had this significant plan, right? To
Mm.
get information out there, get positive information, and then bring home with all of the little things that they're doing. So it's like this constant appeal. So, you know, it's a really interesting place for Halo to be at the moment. And I hope that we can start to bring some of those communities together, you know?
Oh yeah. I mean, that's one thing too. Like we're just kind of split right now between Halo 5 players and MCC players right now, at least
Mm,
on the Twitch side of things for sure. I mean, a little more on the MCC side of things. But yeah, I'm just excited for like when Halo Infinite releases, like everyone's gonna be online at the same time, playing the same game, experiencing the same thing all together. I mean, it's not very often you get a chance to experience that kind of stuff. The only time that we've really had that with Halo community is with like E3 events.
mm,
After that, everyone just kind of goes back to their little homes, and then
whatever
like,
they're doing. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, exactly. But hopefully with Infinite's release, we'll see much more of a sense of community and everyone kind of joining together. I mean, yeah, there's going to be people out there who are not going to like Infinite, and they're
Yeah.
going to make videos about it, saying that's trash. You shouldn't play it. 343 is monetizing the game to sell out Halo and stuff like that. But one thing is just to make sure just when you ever hear a criticism, to put context behind it, and think for yourself as well. Do you enjoy the game?
Yeah.
Great. There's gonna be people out there who are not gonna like it. I'm probably gonna like it because I've liked every Halo in some capacity. Maybe not so much Halo 4's multiplayer, but
Yeah. Yeah.
but everything else I've enjoyed Halo. I like old school Halo and I like new school. I'd say probably Halo 5 is probably like my second favorite multiplayer behind Halo 3.
Mm,
And so, I've been playing since 2001.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
like I'm one of those weird guys who just likes Halo, I guess,
Yeah. Yeah.
for whatever they put together, whatever they
We're,
put
we're
out.
weird. We're weird together because I just like Halo as well, right? I'd put
Mm.
Halo 5 as my third. I'd go Halo 3 just because it was my initial one, super competitive. I loved playing until the memories I've got of playing Halo 3, right? So it can't ever not be number one for
Oh
me.
yeah.
And then number 2 would be Halo Reach, because that was when I actually started, being good at the game, and I started putting out content around it. And then Halo 5, just because I actually think it's a super competitive game. I love the movement of it. I wish there was, less problems with the aiming and stuff, but I really love so many elements of what they tried to do with Halo 5. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think we're both weird, just enjoying Halo. But, so we're,
Just enjoying Halo. Who does
yeah,
that?
yeah, exactly. Who can just sit down and like enjoy it? But so what I was going to say is, what are you looking forward to most for Halo Infinite, right? Like, with all the information
Ooh.
that and we've got released, like, game comes out, let's say the game comes out next week, right? You got a week to prepare. You're going to write down yourself a little, all right, I'm going to make videos about these things. I'm going to take that to the side. What are you actually thinking? I can't wait to just jump in a campaign, play multiplayer, go to LANs with friends. What do you want?
Oh
What
my
do you look?
gosh. I mean, that's the great thing about Halo, though, is that there are so many ways to enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's more than just like one thing. And that's what makes Halo so difficult to develop for, is because everyone enjoys Halo their own way.
Mm,
You know, no other game I've experienced or know about really at this point offers that. They offer a competitive multiplayer? Do they offer a compelling story? Do they offer, creative tools for people? Do they, a lot of games only do like one thing, you
mm.
know, like in for Call of Duty, everyone just kind of plays for the multiplayer. Like, yeah, the story's there. Some people really like it, but it's like, whatever.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
one plays cut or no one plays custom games in these other games as well, besides Halo.
Mm,
And but for me personally, the first thing I'm gonna do when I, boot up Halo Infinite, I'm gonna play the campaign.
mm.
That's the first thing I'm gonna do. Mainly because, being involved with the community, being on Twitter and on YouTube and stuff like that, there are going to be spoilers that are going to get out there. People are, people, as soon as like, I have a really strong feeling the flood's coming back in Halo Infinite. And I just imagine like, as soon as it happens, right, people are going to post up on YouTube, post up on Twitter, my reaction to the flood return kind of thing. And I don't want that spoiled for me while I'm playing the game.
Yeah.
I'm going to like, sit down and just play through the whole thing the best I can for at least for the first week, at least, but depends how long the game is. But definitely gonna be doing that, and then maybe a little bit of multiplayer as well. But you're talking about like video creation side of things, I get like a little anxiety about it because uh because I've been since my channel kind of started growing back in 2018-ish, but like right around then, especially like 2019, that's when I kind of started seeing like some growth to the channel. Before it was just really kind of like, it was like a little bit, but it was basically just flat growth, really,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. But it wasn't until then I really started kind of seeing some growth on the channel. Oh man, like we've been having like these news bits of information and things about Halo come at us one at a time for the most part.
Mm,
And then when Halo Infinite releases, it's going to be like 100 different things that 300, 500 different things to talk about.
yeah.
And my brain goes way too much into details and gets lost in the facts of things and stuff like that. And so I get anxious when it comes to like, what am I going to create when Infinite comes around?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I've been kind of trying to set myself up with like news and info, like tips and tricks and stuff like that, with my channel. So hopefully when I find interesting things, I'll just know what to do with it. I've kind of got enough of a rhythm when it comes to creating videos that like, if I just hear a topic, I can rant and go off on it for like 10 minutes, easy, at least make it
Well,
easy, make a 10-minute video on it pretty easily.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I found the same thing when I only did the first 2 reacting videos, just to the E3 gameplay for like the Divine Mind channel, and it was the exact same thing. I was like, I wanted this to be like a 2-minute video, so I had to keep going back, just cutting out anything that was like too much my opinion and not just the straight fact what was in the video. I think that,
Hmm.
when you're passionate about Halo, it's easy to just keep going, right?
Yeah.
Like, as you're going, you're like, hang on, that's a good idea, and here's another
Hmm.
really cool, oh, I love these ideas. But no, I think, yeah, I'm gonna play multiplayer for the first time. Like, that's gonna, like, I'm gonna get home, I'm gonna sit down, play multiplayer until my eyes start bleeding, and then when I need a bit of a break, I'll probably move into campaign and do it as well. So, but the biggest reason for that is I'm so excited to, hopefully they have somewhere in the multiplayer menu like the amount of people online. I would love for that to be back. Because I love
Ah,
that in Halo 3, jumping
oh
on, you
yeah.
see the map, and you're like, oh wow, you felt like you're part of something.
Exactly. Yeah, but I don't think we're gonna get that. Was it? I think it might be more of like a early 360 Xbox gaming day kind of thing. I think a lot of people. I think I remember watching. I think about. I could be wrong about this, but so don't quote me on it. But like,
Mm.
I think I remember like someone tweeted at Josh Mankey about why they don't show population in Halo 5.
Mm.
And he said that it can influence how people play the game in some way. So if you see like, 5,000 people playing Slayer and maybe like only 200 people playing SWAT, we're like, well, I'm not gonna play SWAT because I don't want to get bad connections or a bad
Yeah.
experience while playing, kind of thing. But
Yeah.
if you don't see that, then you just kind of go, I feel like playing SWAT. Let's play. You don't get that. It's not like in Halo Reach where like, I've gone to like try to play like the MLG settings just for the hell of it,
Mm.
and then there'll be like 10 people online. I'm like, maybe not worth trying.
Yeah. Yeah. No, well, you're right. I think it's good that that side of things are in it, but I think when it's going well, may as well double down on it going well.
Yeah, exactly. Though,
Yeah.
yeah, that's actually one thing I'm kind of worried about, though. It's with the game being free to play and the most accessible Halo that we've ever had at
Mm.
launch, that there'll be like server issues day one and stuff like that. A lot of big games tend to have that kind of issue with
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
so many people trying to log in at the same time that like people can't find matches or can't even log into the game. Like I think it was like with various like a lot of events when it comes to Call of Duty events. Of sometimes I'll go on Twitch and watch them for like Warzone and stuff.
Mm.
People are stuck at like queue screens for like 3+ hours because the servers are full.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think it's kind of just standard stuff now at this point.
Yeah. Well, but I also think that like that's a better way for it to happen, where there's queue screens rather than the game just not working, right?
Yeah.
Which we've
Yeah, 'cause
seen.
yeah, I remember that back like with Diablo 3's launch, that there was not enough servers for people to hop on, but it never told you that. It just said like error code 34 or something
Mm.
like that. You're like, the game's broken day one. What's wrong with this game? You're like, no,
Yeah.
it's just a lot of people trying to play it once.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I think that there could be. Yeah, I think. Look, I'm super optimistic for it working really well. I think that I hope that we don't have those issues, but I'm also like that's one of the things that I kind of have like a pass for in my head. Don't know if that's
Mm,
like the way of saying it, but like I can see that being an issue, and I'm okay if it's dealt with well. Like
yeah. Mhm.
communicated well. Like we knew that there was going to be a lot. We prepared for it the best we could, and because of that, this is the message that we're getting because of the servers. And if you are looking to play and it doesn't come, try again. Every half an hour,
Yeah.
something like that. As long as we get good communication around it, I think people will be, okay with it. And the world will keep spinning, which means that someone's
Yes.
gonna have to go to sleep, and more people will have to be able to come on. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
I think everybody can. If you don't get to play it like immediately, it's not such a big deal. And if you really want to play it, you can just wait. But I think that it needs to be communicated really clearly.
Exactly. Yeah.
But
Like it's gonna suck that night. Wait one day, you'll be able to play.
yeah, exactly. And that's not that big a deal, right?
Mm,
And I don't think that's anything that they can realistically do anything about.
yeah.
If it is super successful in the way that we all want it to be, that's one of the cons that come with it. But tell me about how you got into Halo. We've got this kind of theme on the podcast that everybody has like a Halo dealer, right? Like it's the mate at school who invites you over to play Xbox. You don't even know what you're going to play. And then the next minute you're addicted to Halo, and here we are on a podcast
Yeah. Yeah.
years later. Or someone, it's your dad and brother, or it's the kid down the street or whatever. Or your older brother, I think, was a ghost. Like everybody's kind of got that Halo dealer. How did you get into it?
I got it because in 2001, when the original Xbox console released, I just wanted the new console because I was like, what, 13, 14 at the time or something like that. I can't remember exactly. So back then I didn't know, like, I just wanted the new console because it was a new cool thing,
Yeah.
And so my dad went to, I think, like, the local electronics store or whatever, and got the new Xbox. But obviously you need games with the Xbox. And he asked the guy at the store, he's like, hey, what's like the gotta have game? And the guy goes, oh, you gotta get Halo. And
Mm.
so my dad got Halo for us on the original Xbox, and we got that for our Christmas present.
Oh,
And for my
what a
brother and
Christmas
I.
present, man. What a
I know,
Christmas
right?
present.
Well, my brother and I, we teamed together. We're like, with our powers combined, we can make the dream happen.
Yeah.
And so, uh, yeah, so that was kind of like our combined Christmas gift from our dad. And like, yeah, ever since then, just been playing Halo. So maybe if it wasn't for that store clerk back in 2001 telling my dad that Halo was cool, I
Yeah.
don't know. Maybe I wouldn't be here. I probably would still be here because I play a lot of other shooters and games, and if especially for how popular Halo was at the time,
Yeah.
it just kind of blew up right from the get-go, really.
Yeah.
And so, really, ever since then, I've just been playing a lot of Halo, and
So your
that's kind of
dad,
how I
your dad
started.
was your dad and the clerk at the shop.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Dealers. That's
Yeah,
great.
pretty much, man. And then, I mean, also like, and then also just like having experience with plus C. Well, I mean, they would come over to my mom's house, and then we would just, system link downstairs in the basement, and just play, Blood Gold CTF
Oh,
for like 4 hours straight, just that one map, that one game mode,
yeah.
with our group of local friends in the neighborhood, and then that's all we would do. So like that kind of kept the fun going.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then like Halo
Man,
2 release, we had the same thing, and then it was online. It was even better. Didn't have to bring people in.
yeah. Yeah, and it just
So
keeps going from there. I don't normally
yeah.
do this in the podcast, but I want to do it because you just open up like a can of worms in my head of memories. If anyone that's watching this, I want you to write in the comments a comment for the game mode that you play like 24 hours a day with your mates if you're on LAN or at the same place. Like you were just saying that it was Capture the Flag, right, on Blood Gulch. We used
Mm.
to play Mosh Pit King of the Hill, where there's just the one hill that didn't move,
Oh yeah.
on Guardian with Fiesta weapons. And I swear we played 6 hours straight. No one knew what time it was. We'd just sit there and it'd be a full day at work, but we'd just be running around killing each other. And I love that. So let me know in the comments, what was your game that you played the most of consistently with your friends? Because those are some memories, right?
Yeah, and again, like kind of feeds into what I mentioned earlier. Like everyone experiences Halo differently, and they all have their own kind of special thing that they love about the game, and that's what again makes Halo so great, but also so difficult to make as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you got to try and
Mm.
appeal to all of those memories, right? And all of those
Yeah, yeah,
different
right.
tastes.
You got
But
20 years of memories to try to appeal to everyone for.
yeah, yeah. Well, so Halo 2, you got online straight away. Halo 3 rocks around a little bit later as well. You mentioned before Halo 3 is probably your favorite Halo.
Yes, yeah, definitely my favorite one.
Why is that?
I just felt like it was like it was like an evolution of Halo 2, and I liked Halo 2 a lot. And then I think again like a conclusion of the story for the original trilogy as well, which like was just like super well done. The ending for Halo 3 is like you couldn't have a better ending to the original trilogy. And then like the new Forge tools were super cool. I spent so much time in Halo 3 creating maps, watching Forge tutorials on YouTube and stuff like that back in the day. Watching Forge Labs back then. I think back then he was known as like X Airsoft like 92X or something like that. If that's even close to the name, but like yeah, like then and having the online capabilities as well. But like yeah, this Halo 3, man, it was so good. I remember like the opening night when I got Halo 3. I was in college and had my buddy drive me to the Walmart where they had the midnight release, picked me up, drove back, and like I just like instantly put in the disc, and I was just like so excited to play this game that my roommate who like likes playing games and stuff like that, but just doesn't really he never got that into games like much as I was. I
Yeah,
was like grinning ear to ear, looking like a fool. And I was just so happy to play this game that he just like couldn't. He just thought it was so ridiculous. So he like took a picture of me playing the game because I was just like so happy
yeah, yeah,
to be able to play it.
yeah.
And yeah, definitely just like in the I think it just like had the it just like refined the experience from Halo 2 and just kind of I don't know, just like it was just felt like the best Halo could be at that moment. I just loved
Definitely.
it.
Yeah, yeah. And what did you spend the most time playing in Halo 3? Were you playing social, or were you grinding through ranked?
Um, a little bit of both. I think about halfway through my experience of Halo 3, I found out about like the MLG competitive scene and stuff like that. Like right around 2008, I want to say 2009 or something like that. It's when I first found out about like competitive Halo.
Hmm.
And I was like, oh, this is so cool. Like watching like straight rep and play against like Instinct and like Final Boss and stuff like that.
But
On
even
like the
those memories, man. Even those
yeah,
memories.
yeah, but watching the VODs and stuff like that, like this is so cool watching these guys play at such a high level, and then like learning like from watching these guys play, I was learning so much about the game and stuff like that, like learning how to time power weapons and things like that, and different kind of strategies and controlling spawns. I'm like, I didn't know, I just played the game,
Yeah, yeah,
so like the first half was very social, just playing Social Slayer and just kind of messing around, really, just doing my own thing. And then probably the second half, I'd probably play like the hardcore play or the MLG playlist. Like I think I got to like 25 or something like that, like my highest rank or something around there. And never really got that great. But it wasn't until like Reach where I actually kind of like started studying the game and stuff like that and try getting good.
mm. And that's awesome though, because that again, you just brought up a whole nother like side of the memories, right? I remember the ESPN top 10 plays by Chris Puckett. I don't know if you remember
Oh
that.
yeah.
It was
Oh
on
yeah. Definitely
TV.
watch those videos.
Yeah, I remember it was on TV, and I remember being somewhere and seeing this being played on TV, and I was like, is this a video game that's on the TV right now? Like, I just was blown away by it. And that, I think that's probably, honestly, one of the points where I started thinking about, I really want this to be like, I want to do something like this, because
Yeah.
seeing it on the thing, I was like, I wish everybody else in here could appreciate that as much as what I just did, and it
Hmm.
kind of went over everyone's head. I had another moment when I got to Canada. I was in a bar in Whistler, and I was sitting there with just a bunch of new friends. We were having fun, and on the TV, there's a FIFA league playing, right? But not
Hmm.
real soccer. People like gamers playing it, right?
Hmm.
I just was looking at it and I was watching it and I was like, do you know what? I think there's a bunch of people watching this right now that don't even know they're watching gamers play, like, because they're in a bar, they're just kind of watching soccer and, they see these goals and every now and again someone, would be like, oh, wow, that was a great goal, But I just think that that was another moment where I was like, wow, we're so close to video games really cutting through that transition of generations where it'll be more and
Yeah.
more common to see those things up on screens. And we might even get to the point someday where there's a person's stream, like a Twitch stream of someone playing the games that are like
Right.
live in areas, which I think would be great because it forces the quality of what everyone's doing to go up, right?
Hmm.
if it's
Oh
if it's
yeah,
like
absolutely.
if it's that social.
Yeah.
So, and I love the idea of the quality of content improving,
Oh, it's just been constantly improving ever since like people started doing this. I started watching gaming content videos online since like 2008. I want to say. I remember the first video I ever watched was like a commentary from Hutch,
Yeah.
doing just talking about domination on some map in Call of Duty 4. Talking about like giving like tips like how to control spawns and stuff like that. I'm like, I didn't know about that kind
Yeah.
of stuff. And ever since then, I've just been hooked on watching gaming content videos. It's just kind of like my main form of entertainment,
Mm.
throughout the day while I'm like working or something like that. I'll be listening in and stuff like that. And got, liked it so much that it got inspired enough to do it myself. And now here we are.
Well, we talked about it a little bit before we started, but around 2008, 2009, that's when you made your first YouTube video. That's when it kind of started for you.
Oh god, it was something like that. The first, like, I actually had a channel before my KevinKoolx channel where it was called Your Top 5 Plays, because I didn't have a capture card or anything like that. I just had like a terrible laptop with like Windows Movie Maker, and I just wanted to make videos.
Yeah.
And so what I do is like have people submit clips to me, and I make a top 5 like plays kind of video off of that. And I got like some momentum. I had like, I think, under 1,000 subs. It was like maybe like 700 at best, 400 or something like that.
Mm.
This is back in like 2008, 2009, I want to say, or something like that. And so that was fun, kind of just doing stuff. But the videos were terrible, by the way. The commentary was so awkward. Like, oh my gosh, I didn't feel like I really actually understood how to talk on a microphone until like 3 years ago. you know,
Yeah.
like if you watch, I mean, some people on my Twitch channel kind of like to roast me because like I've shown like my first commentary on my channel, which was like a Call of Duty domination match in Black Ops 1. It's just so awkward. I did it all in one take, and probably even then it was probably my good take.
Yeah.
Um, and then it was just, oh god, it's just all kinds of bad, so off topic, just random thoughts, whatever came to my mind. It's just like it was pointless, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just taking up server space for YouTube. Like I feel bad for having that up there.
Yeah. Yeah. I watched a video of mine the other day just because it came up in a recommended videos on when I was on another channel like I've got the Divine Mind channel and Hydrisney, which is my personal channel, right? And I was on the Divine Mind channel and this Hydrisney video came up and I was like, I'll watch this because this is from I think 2011, I think it was. And
Mm.
and I was just cringing the whole time. I was trying to sound so cool and I was like, oh, the slang I was using and like you said, just
Yep.
random thoughts, whatever was coming in. I was
Mhm.
like, what are you doing, Liam? Like,
Yeah.
turn it off,
Like
come
you thought this was good.
yeah.
You thought people needed to see this.
Yeah, exactly. And you uploaded it. But I think, the fact that we both have that experience, it's a really good thing for anyone watching the podcast or listening to the
Mhm.
podcast that you got to start somewhere, like, and
Yes.
realistically, we probably both needed to have that experience and those experiences to get to the point where we can talk, as confidently and we can get our opinions across as articulately as what we're trying to,
Yeah.
without the conversation being super tangential and lots of things coming from everywhere. So it's that should be encouragement for a lot of people. Is if you're talking on stream or on a YouTube video and you're finding it hard to get it takes like a long time to get really
Mm.
good and confident at it. But don't give up. And I think that, you know, a big thing that I could say as well is like, just try to be super transparent. Don't worry about like trying to sound a certain way or anything, because I noticed that's what I sounded like when I was trying to be cool. Like, and you know, not that I wasn't cool, but I was trying too hard. And listening back to it, it's like, oh, no wonder people didn't find that natural and want to just hang around and watch it, right? Because it was
Mhm.
super forced. But so yeah, you got those videos started coming out. It was Call of Duty that you started with. Was that like the actual game that you started putting most content out for?
Most content, yeah, Call of Duty, a little bit of Halo Reach as well. I was playing more Black Ops 1 at the time, and also like from all the videos I was watching back then. Because like also keep in mind that like I played nothing but Halo essentially, besides like Knights of the Old Republic and like some sports games. I just played Halo up until like Modern Warfare 2.
Yeah,
So at that point, like I've been playing for like 8 years straight. Just like that's my shooter game is Halo. So playing something different was kind of, it was like a new experience for me.
yeah,
So it was like the new, and plus it was like the new cool thing.
yeah,
Um, well, I was still playing Halo Reach, but like, you know, the launch of Reach and the vanilla settings were kind of rough to start with.
definitely.
TU kind of saved it a little bit, but so it was kind of tough to get back into it. But there was a period there I was going like Call of Duty, Halo Reach, and actually Bad Company 2 as well throughout the week. And then, but then I kind of transitioned from there to I tried doing Halo 4. I didn't like the multiplayer at all, so I kind of dropped that pretty quick.
Yeah,
And then I started doing Battlefield videos. And then didn't really. I mean, I enjoyed Battlefield a lot, and I enjoyed making the videos for it. I just never really got much traction for it.
yeah,
Partially because I didn't know what I was doing, and again, probably bad videos as well. But it wasn't until like Halo MCC came out. I'm like, I'm going all in on Halo. Like, Halo's always been my favorite game of all time. You know, bringing back MCC was a great opportunity. Of course, the game launch wasn't very good either there. But and then Halo 5 came out right after that. So I was like, I just see like this path that Halo's taking. And I'm like, it's something I wanted to be a part of. Halo's always been my favorite franchise. And so I've been much more passionate about the game as well from what for just making videos for it. And that's one thing I think a lot of people kind of talked about. Like I've seen like in my YouTube comments talking about like, oh, if this guy does Halo videos, but if he did like Fortnite, he'd blow up or something like that.
yeah,
And I'm like, I mean, I just don't know if I have like the passion for other games that can like just continually make it like put out a new video every day, do live streams, like grind out the content for this game
mm,
because I genuinely enjoy playing Halo.
yeah,
Like even when I'm offline, like not or not streaming, like sometimes I'm like, I'll just play a little MCC just because I like playing Halo, you know?
yeah, yeah,
So yeah, I feel like I got a little off topic there, but like yeah, I just passionate about Halo. I want to do Halo. I'm
yeah,
all in, you
yeah,
know.
yeah. Well, because if we look at just what you've got in the like subscriber milestones in like your About channel on YouTube, I was just looking at it before we started talking, and you can kind of see 2011 to 2018 was your first. So that's that one. So it's yeah, like 7 years is your first 5,000 subs, right?
Yeah.
And then from 2018 to 2021, like where we're at right now, that's 15,000 more, right?
Yeah.
And I think, you know, that's got something to do with one, MCC started working.
True.
And you can put some content, consistent content out for it. But you found your niche, you found your passion, you know, you started sounding super authentic. The quality of the videos were definitely improving as well by that stage. And it's kind of, you know, the consistency that pays off. I don't think that a lot of people realize, you know, when they find you, whether it's from your Twitch channel or whatever, how long went into that growth, you know? Because
Oh yeah, I mean, so there's people out there who've seen like meteoric growth, like Sean W, for example, like gained like 19,000 subs within a year. Like that's for Halo content, especially, that's very unheard of.
yeah,
But the thing, I think what he saw is kind of like saw what he could do to bring into the Halo community, kind of like what I kind of found my niche into.
yeah,
Because like first I just started doing like this gameplay comments. Oh, I get a good game. I do a commentary over it, talk about the game, talk about whatever's going on with Halo, and it was all right. You
mm,
know, I'm not that great at the game, you know, because I think most people when it comes to gameplay really only care about like that 1% top tier,
definitely.
like champion level gameplay if they're going to watch gameplay, right? They don't really care if you went 30 and 10 in a Halo match, you know, like that's a good game for me.
Yeah,
You know, and so I was like, okay, so I'm not that great at Halo. And I'm not that funny where I could do like funny montage videos and you know make it be entertaining.
mm,
But one thing I've always wanted to do, at least like kind of actually what I started my channel out doing, was just doing like tips and tricks,
mm,
information and stuff like that. And I feel like I'm the kind of guy who can finds that kind of stuff interesting, at least to you know, do research and that kind of stuff. And so that's why I kind of found myself going into like the news and information kind of stuff. And also it would put less stress on me to try to get good gameplay. I
Yeah,
could just
yeah.
talk about stuff, rather than have to make sure I have to get a good game to talk about stuff. And I think also like watching, if you guys remember, I can't remember, is B Dobbins. If you've ever watched his videos, uh, he what he did with his videos, it wasn't just like one long gameplay. He would just take up clips
Hmm.
that were really good clips and just do a commentary over that. And I'm
Yeah.
like, well, that's a good idea. And so
Yeah.
like I don't even bother recording gameplay. I just record clip like 45 seconds at a time.
Yeah.
If I want to like have something playing in the background while I'm like, going too far off topic.
Yeah.
um, but but yeah, like again, with like the whole YouTube thing, man, it's all about knowing who you are and knowing what you can do,
Hmm.
and being very self-critical.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like I'm not a gameplay guy. Never going to be able to do that because I just can't grind the game out like 40 hours a week like some people can. Um, but yeah, being very very self-critical about yourself, understand what you can offer, and but also just like starting off, and also just as starting out as a hobby. Don't try to make it like I'm going to make it big on YouTube.
Yeah.
This is what I'm going to do, doing this specific thing, and if it doesn't work, I'm going to drop it. I mean, like I started out doing a specific thing. I dropped it, did something different, and started seeing some growth on it to the channel, at least some recognition, at least in some capacity.
Yeah.
And also the big thing is just make content. Like
Yeah.
it's not going to be good at first, but the thing is that you'll have some kind of level to, go off of. Some people just get away with just doing a microphone and gameplay and then just go from there. Some
Yeah.
people like me have to kind of do some more editing, to kind of make the videos more entertaining to watch. But the main thing is just like you're making content.
Definitely.
And yeah, it's just like also if you're doing it just for fun, start out as a hobby, get enjoyment from just uploading and seeing people's reactions,
Hmm.
no matter how big or how small the audience is.
Yeah.
As long as you're enjoying it, then that's will be the main driver for you, not
Yeah.
the views. It's just like that you find it as a fun little project.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. I throw Ubnik under the bus every single time that this topic comes up. And just, I've taken in a video call with young content creators that are like asking me, right? I'm not even a successful content creator, right? But I feel like I really understand what it takes to get there, and I appreciate the effort that people who were around 10 years ago were putting in to get to where they are now. And so I use Ubnik as a good example, and I say, literally, let's go onto YouTube, go into their videos, search from, the oldest videos to newest, and have a look at and watch through some of those videos. And you'll be surprised. You'll be like, wow, this person has 100,000 subs. Yeah, now they do because of
Yes.
videos, right? Like,
Mm.
you can kind of see the improvement where it goes from just random commentary over mediocre gameplay to, starting to find whatever the niche is, right? And, when Fred and I started Divine Mind, we talked about how to be a successful gamer and making money out of it, you've got like, three kind of roles that you can play, and that's competitive gamer, top 1%, and probably even more than the top 1%. Like realistically,
Yeah.
you be in like the top
0.5%. Yeah.
yeah, no, like I mean like top 0.01%, you know what I mean? Like that's where you need to be super engaging and entertaining with your gameplay, because there's
True.
lots of really good players out there, but unless you're like Bound or any of the guys that you see that are streaming and got a really decent audience around them, that's that 0.01%, right?
Yeah.
So you got to be the competitive player, you got to be the information guy, that which I would probably say you're in, the tips, the
Yeah.
tricks, the information that people can't find like not naturally by themselves. They just want a solid place to come to, listen to someone who's engaging, entertaining, and passionate, tell them stuff that they didn't know about the game. And then the other one is just be super funny and entertaining and engaging, right?
Yeah.
And if you can, and that one there is probably the easiest to be, because you can mix that with mediocre gameplay and that top 1% gameplay, and use that to be successful. But the other ones take a lot of effort to get to, like being one of the best players in the world. That's hard. That's a hard
Really
thing
hard.
to accomplish.
Sure.
Doing what you
Yeah.
do and researching and editing videos and thinking about the dialogue and making
Yeah,
sure that
that's just time consuming.
yeah, but
Yeah.
that's an effort, right? Like you put a lot of
Oh,
effort
yeah.
into that.
Mm.
And so like I think people need to kind of think about where do you fit into those three categories? Because if you're not the best and you're not funny and you're not giving anyone information, what are you doing, right? Like
Yeah.
really,
Well, then you can create your own thing.
yeah,
That's where you can come in and go like, well, that's what everyone else is doing. What can I do? Because that's the main thing about YouTube. You gotta find a niche that needs to be filled.
Yeah.
You know, where I kind of started seeing growth on the channel doing news and information. Like, it's not the first time people have done news and information about.
Cool.
I think it was like kind of like me, like Patman, and a few other people out there, because a lot of like the bigger name guys like Chief Connect kind of stopped uploading videos,
Hmm.
especially like Green Skull stopped uploading. Hidden Xperia does hit news and info, but it's like on the big major beats, not like the day-to-day kind of like smaller things like updates to MCC and things like that. Other than that, you have like Halo Follower, but a lot of people don't like watching Halo Follower because it's Halo Follower, so that's where I feel like that's how I kind of found views on the channel. It's just because like YouTube is the second largest search engine on the internet
It's crazy.
behind Google,
Yeah.
and people go to the average person goes to YouTube for like information, to learn and do things, or but some people do like watching YouTube for just entertainment. More people use it for like news and info kind of thing, or
Yeah.
not they're necessarily news, but just trying to get some information that they want to find.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
When did Twitch come into it for you?
I mean, like I've always had my Twitch channel. I mean, I've had it since like the Battlefield 3 days, or maybe even before that. Oh, I've had it since like the Black Ops 1 days. I had the same Twitch channel, but I would just kind of stream whenever. Not until like last 2, 3 years now at this point, I think. Has it been 3 years? Oh my gosh. I've really tried to get like at least a consistent schedule. So I'm like every Tuesday, every Thursday night, I'm streaming, and luckily my wife allows that to happen. Not saying like she like not that she doesn't do that, but I'm saying like she supports it. She understands like how much I love interacting with people, and how much I love creating content on Halo, and how I'm starting to get a little bit of traction online. That she sees that and wants me to pursue that more, because I'm enjoying it so much.
Yeah.
you know I'm following something that's a passion of mine. And so, I mean, without my wife's support, I would not be where I'm at right now, because if I was with like someone else who just didn't like video games or something like that, I mean, we probably would have been broken up by this point, because Halo is love, Halo is life.
Yeah.
But like,
How long have you guys
she's
been together
incredible.
for?
We hit our 4 years together in April. It'll be our 1 year anniversary in August 1st.
Yeah. Wow.
Mhm.
That's so good. It's so lucky. And
Mm.
how did you guys meet?
We actually met back in high school,
Wow.
and funny thing is, like, I always, I thought she was like the hot girl in the school back in high school, and I was like, no way. And then, the years passed. We went to the same college, or at least first year we went to the our first community college together, and then actually kind of just started hanging out a little bit then. But then, I went to university. She went to an art school. We never like hung out in person or anything, but we were just casual lunch buddies with like a group of other people that we were with. And then just like 10 years later, um, I started, I just hit her up on Facebook, because I noticed that she was liking my post, I was liking her post. We're just like, I thought, oh, she's paying attention to my page and stuff like that. And so I just hit her up one day, and I was just like, hey, you want to like meet up for like coffee or dinner or something like that sometime? Just meet up as friends kind of thing. Because I hadn't seen her in like 10 plus years.
Yeah.
And so she said, sure. And then ended up just kind of, first it was just like a casual meetup between friends, but just really hit it off. And then
Hmm.
kind of like another thing, like rest is history kind of thing.
Yeah.
Funny thing was though, when I did message her on Facebook, it kept track of all your messages that you've sent to people. And so the last message I sent to her was like about 8, 9 years ago, when I was like back from college for the summer. I sent like this most like obviously like desperate haha, like, hey, we should hang out sometime, it'd be great, haha, kind of thing. It's like the sound does like, you're like awkward kind of like, guy just wanted to like get a date out of somebody
Mhm.
kind of message. And then so apparently the message never went away, because back then when I sent it, it was a private message on Facebook. Now it's like, instant messages.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, she still makes fun of me for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she's like, I never saw it. I'm like, I tried. Hey, we could have, this great thing could have started earlier, but hey, you didn't see the message. That's fine.
No, that's such a wonderful story. And like it's
Mm.
amazing that it's someone that you've kind of got so much history with and everything as well. Because we talked about it a little bit before we started the podcast, but when you're going to do something like this, the content creation side of things, and it's becoming more and more mainstream, but it's not entirely there. Like you need people that are going to be supportive of that passion.
Yes.
Because
Hmm.
yeah, like I'm a good example of the other side of it, right? Where I had friends and family kind of being like, "Why are you spending so much time doing this? You should go and do other things." I'm glad I did because I got a lot of life lessons out of it. But you know, if I had kept going, then maybe I'd be in a different place with the content creation and all that type of stuff. So, and now I'm at the point where we'll both get to shout out our partners in this
Yeah.
podcast. Now
Oh
I've got
yeah.
Chloe and her family that are super supportive of all the stuff that I'm doing with Divine Mind and all that type of stuff as well. They don't get it, like they don't understand what I'm doing, but they know that I'm passionate about it and they support me to do it as well. So
Mm.
it's really important to have those people around you. But when you started saying that you were going to stream and you're doing this YouTube stuff, did you guys actually like have a sit down conversation and be like, "Hey, look, I'm gonna be streaming Tuesdays and Thursdays, so you're gonna have to entertain yourself."
I mean, kind of, because I was like, before I was like, when we were just kind of dating, I kind of would just stream in the evening because I'd just be home alone, you know.
Yeah.
But then we moved in together, and it was just more to like a way to things, because people like consistency and knowing when you're going to be online, something like that, especially with Twitch.
Yeah.
And so that helps out a lot. And also just wanted to just get some form of a schedule with her, so then like knowing that like, hey, some nights I'm going to be busy, kind of thing. So it's kind of like that. But yeah, like I sat down, I was like, so I'm kind of thinking about like having these dedicated nights. What are your thoughts? She's like, yeah, sure, go for it, kind of thing. And so because I want it was more of my idea, wanting to set up a schedule so then people knew when I was online, rather than
Mm.
have to rely on like people being on Twitter or being online at that moment to
Yeah.
catch me online. They
Yeah.
could just know Tuesday 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Kevin's gonna be online. I'm gonna go check him out. So that's where really came from, and she was supportive about it, and
Yeah.
so again, love her to
Yeah.
death.
Yeah. No, that's so awesome. And so you're working full time as well. We talked a little bit about as well.
Yeah, so that's another thing where that's the reason why I'm able to kind of get away with this, because if I was like, I'm gonna go quit my job, do YouTube and Twitch full time, one, I wouldn't be able to pay the bills right now
Yeah.
then.
Yeah.
And then so then everyone kind of looks at it like, oh, it's Kevin's free time, that what he likes to do. Everyone has their own like thing they like to do in their free time. So that's kind of how my family looks at it too. My mom finds it kind of, I showed her like, I have 20K subs. She's like, what?
Yeah.
It's like, that's crazy. And so but yeah, so it's just like, it's a fun free time thing right now for me.
Yeah.
It doesn't pay the bills at all. It helps, but definitely not paying the rent right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
um Maybe when if things change, we don't know. But I'm just trying to set myself up the best way to set myself for that opportunity if it does come in the future.
Yeah. Definitely.
um but yeah, that's like another big thing is also like, I know a lot of people kind of like, we're talking about significant others in gaming and stuff like that. As gamers, we probably like we would love to spend like 12 18 hours a day just sitting down playing games, because we just love them so much, and we're sitting down creating videos about this stuff. That's how much we love video games. But obviously you can't spend your whole day doing it. And so uh I know like a lot of people find like, oh, my girlfriend doesn't like it when I play games. Like, well, is it because you're ignoring her and what you should be doing throughout the day, and then instead of playing video games? Or is
Mm.
it the fact that you do play video games? There's two different things there, because I make sure that like, I do my duties around the house. I make sure like, I get my ABCD checklist done for that day, and then I can spend my time playing games
Yeah.
or making videos and stuff like that. Or if I'm just spending my whole day making videos and ignoring everything else I need to be doing with my life, then that's where like gaming for can be a bit of an issue between friends and family.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I completely agree. And I think you got to have that. You got to be able to, identify what are the things that are they going to hold you back from either the real life side of things or the gaming side of things. And I think a lot of people would kind of get a benefit out of making sure that the real life stuff is like locked down, right? Like that stuff
Yes.
you need to have some financial security. You need to understand like your routine and roles with your partner and your family. Your health and fitness, I think, is another really important thing for
Oh
real
yeah.
life that you should
Mhm.
have, like a good understanding of how you're going to do that. And then once you've got those things, those core kind of values set, you go, okay, like you said, I'm going to stream Tuesday and Thursday, and I can put that into my routine. I can work that around full-time work, a family, friends, and for you making your YouTube content, right? Which you've been doing for
Exactly.
10 years now, right? Yeah.
Too
So
long. Yes.
was there ever a time though where like you couldn't find the time to make content and do the streaming and you were finding it really hard?
um well, I mean, and like that's why I kind of make sure I kind of fit my gaming around my life rather than making my life fit around my gaming.
Mhm.
So that's why like I do like Tuesday and Thursday nights only with streams. I want to try to see if I can end in a third date because I'm seeing some good momentum on Twitch and so I want to kind of push that a little bit more. But that's kind of around my life rather than having it be my life.
Mhm.
Uh, or like have it be like the only thing that I do really.
Yeah, yeah.
So I never really had much of an issue like that. I mean, like when I went like on my honeymoon, like I set videos, I was gonna be away for like a week and a half or something like that. So yeah, I made videos for like, just schedule them out for the week. Um, well, that's why I also like leave my weekends open because that's usually when I get the chance to see my my IRL friends and
Mm,
spend time with them. And so that's why I don't usually stream on the weekends.
mm.
Um, and so as like I said, like I just kind of fit my gaming and my YouTube stuff like around my life rather than having to be like my life and have my friends and family work around my schedule. I work
Yeah, yeah.
around everyone else's kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. I get it. Yeah, that's smart.
Mhm.
That's a really smart way of doing it. And so when you look at like obviously Halo Infinite coming out at the end of this year, are you hoping that this might be the type of thing that'll blow you up to the point where you can one day slide more into full-time content creation and doing it as like a living?
Hopefully. And that's kind of like the ultimate goal, really. Like if I can do that. Um, I mean, there are some like more like technicalities to there's more technicalities that gets behind the whole thing. Like, what do I do for health insurance if I'm not employed,
Mm,
by a regular, person? Because in here in the United States, you get your health insurance through your employer,
mm,
which is odd. I know for a lot of people to kind of understand that for most developed countries out there in the world, but hey, freedom. But
yeah,
anyways, so that's kind of like some things like that kind of worry me, but I know it's just something I'm just passionate about, something I want to go for, and I see what other people make it work, and so I want to see if I can make it work, eventually. But again, we're just not at that point yet. Maybe we're working towards it, but I'm not putting all my eggs in one basket. I still have my 9 to 5 job. I work, in the office more from home now since March of last year. Just plugging away at a computer there, and um, so I'm still gonna, do that. Like I said, like I said before, I fit my gaming and my YouTube around my life. I don't have
yeah.
it be my life.
Okay, I got a question for you. I have two questions and I don't want to forget them. So the first one I was going to ask is, what is it that you actually do for work full time?
I do data analytics for a consulting company. Right now, our client is actually Microsoft, so we do like federal licensing for Microsoft kind of stuff. Just making sure that like um, yeah, just make sure like all the licensing and things work out properly. It's pretty boring.
Yeah, it sounds very boring. I'm not gonna lie.
Yes, it is. Oh, it is. Yeah,
Yeah,
but hey, I get to pay for rent doing that, so I'll do
yeah,
it.
yeah. No,
And it's not too taxing of a job, honestly, to where like it allows me to have free times where I can put a lot of extra time into YouTube and Twitch because it's like a part-time job for me right now.
yeah, yeah. No, I get it. And the other question I was going to ask is, what would you need from YouTube and Twitch and all the other social medias? Where would you need them to be? Do you think to be able to make the change where it's full time?
I mean, other than the paycheck,
Yeah.
yeah.
So without going through paycheck the numbers, I'm saying like maybe like the numbers of subscribers or
Oh,
followers or whatever.
I mean, that, again, like it's be something more about like, can I fit it and kind of make that life change, and is it something I can support my family with?
Mm,
Because I'm in my early 30s. Clock's ticking. My wife wants to have a baby and stuff like that, so that's another thing I'm kind of like keeping in the back of my mind in the real life stuff, and so that's one thing I think of. Like, if I do make that switch, would it be something that I can do to support my life without having it being too stressful or living paycheck to paycheck,
yeah.
essentially? Right now, we're doing fine. But yeah, like I said, I don't know because I feel like also with like Halo YouTube, from what I've seen compared to like other YouTube content creators out there. I mean, like I watch like this Call of Duty guy who has like 400,000 subscribers, but sometimes he struggles to break 30K views on a video.
Mm,
Where like, I'm getting like 5 to 10K views on a video, and I have like 20K subs, and so it's really kind of relative, and it doesn't. It's not based on like a number like 150K subs. I'm going full time. Like it's
yeah.
necessarily that. It's just kind of, again, it's like a transition that you kind of experience. It's not like a hard set line that happens when it
Yeah.
comes to that kind of stuff. At least that's how I view it.
Yeah.
And I'm just not at that state where I could do that.
Can I ask you? You don't have to answer this because it's a money question, so you feel
Mhm.
free to just decline. But on a video, you're getting like 5K views on. How much ad revenue would you make from a video like that?
I mean, it varies depending on the video, because like I think Halo Infinite videos I think have a little bit higher of a CPM, like rate, per view, than like other good videos out there, at least from my experience. So that kind of depends. But for like all the stuff between like Twitch and YouTube, I still don't make enough than that. I still make like less than half than what I make at my job right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
And so I'm just saying, I'm definitely just not at that point right now where I can
You
do
switch it up.
something like that, make a switch like that.
Yeah.
I just want to make sense. But especially since I'm buying a house, I recently just bought a house.
Hey, congratulations. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
thank you. Yes, and also actually our mortgage is gonna be a little bit more expensive than my rent right now. So again,
Mhm.
that's another thing to take in consideration.
Yeah.
So I'll be moving in next month there. But and so
Oh man, it's all
that's
happening.
what that,
That kid's close.
oh, it is. That's very,
Yeah.
it's gonna happen probably this year, most likely. But so yeah, like I don't even make half as much as I do for work right now, and my job doesn't really pay that well, to be honest. And so that's kind of where I'm at right now when it comes like financial stability with like YouTube and Twitch. Like again, it's still more just like a part-time job, side hustle kind of thing right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. No, I
Mhm.
get it. Well, the other question I wanted to ask is about your like the health fitness side of things. Is that something that's important to you? Do you put any time into that?
I should. I should. I mean, like I keep track of like what I'm eating, stuff like that. I'm making sure I'm not eating like pizza and burgers every night. I avoid like drinking sugary drinks for the most part. But yeah, like the wife and I have been also talking about this too. Like we've kind of, gained some weight because of COVID and stuff like that, just being less active and going out and doing things. But it's something we want to get more into. Um, and so like again, I got some apps on my phone to like, do like some calisthenics stuff, push-ups, crunches, things like that.
Mhm.
Just try. I definitely, especially this summer, I just bought a bike as well for like a mountain bike. So I want to go do some
Awesome.
trail riding and stuff like that.
Oh, so
Um,
much fun, man.
yeah, I like basically I've been watching like BBK Dragon make videos now, like on like Instagram. I'm like, I want to do that.
Yeah.
And so yeah, so I'm definitely trying to get that into that more. I would do it this weekend, but it's like 110 degrees outside, not exactly gonna
Yeah, you
ride my
guys in a
bike in
heat
that
wave.
weather. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like ridiculously hot. I saw a thing saying that like Portland, Oregon is going to be hotter than 99.8% of the world. Like
Wow.
the only places that are hotter are like the Sahara Desert and like the California deserts, and like that's
Wow.
it.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll stay
And
inside.
so
On.
yeah, we're and usually with the the Northwest summers, it's like 85 and sunny. Like the summers here are perfect usually, but like yeah, right now it's just way too hot.
Yeah. Well, the reason why I asked that question, obviously, is because we put a big part of what Divine Mind's doing is, we want to help the community kind of establish role models that, the younger generation can look at and be like, hey, I want to be more like those people, right? And I think that having a good understanding of the health and fitness side of things will
Mm,
is a big game changer, especially if young kids can start doing it. Then by the time they get to our age, like 30s, health and fitness can be an established part of their routine. And that's the hardest part about it, is just having it as part of your routine, fitting it in
yeah,
a few times a week, a little bit every day. And once you get that, you feel so good. And it's just, yeah, it's a hard thing to get into your routine if you've never had it. Like
yeah,
I used to be a swimmer, so I was training twice a day for 2 hours each time, right? So like it's easy for me to do that, but someone who didn't grow up like that, it's really difficult to find the time to just self-discipline to say I'm going to do it. So I'm still trying to think of a way that we can maybe get some of the people that have been on the podcast to do one of the work, because I write a workout pretty much every single week, or a fitness challenge every single month for everyone that's involved in Divine Mind,
mm.
just to keep them going. So I'm still trying to work on a way that I can kind of tie it all in, but we'll have to get you involved at some point as well.
I can see some. I know I can see something like that because I think that'd be kind of a cool thing. They showing that gamers are not just like fat dudes eating Doritos and like we're not the World of Warcraft like guys from South Park, right? Like mom,
Yeah.
hot pockets.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, dribbling the word out. Yeah, for sure. And
I think it's kind of a cool like fitness gamer life, just kind of breaking stereotypes.
yeah,
I think that'd be
that's the
kind of a
big
cool
thing,
thing.
right? Is I don't think that the general stereotype that people think of for gamer, I don't think that that is the overall stereotype anymore. I think we've got
Hmm.
a lot of people that have got a better balance than what that stereotype gives off. But I think it's also still, unfortunately, accurate in a way that there are a lot of people that aren't healthy, that
Oh
play
yeah.
games instead of focusing on their health. And I think that that's what we need the role models for, is to say, you've got to focus on these other things, or not even focus on them, right? It's just got to be a part of your life. It just, I think people make it too complicated. People think of health and fitness being jacked, or like
Yeah.
being ripped. It's not about that. It's like, doing more steps every day, eating less sugar every day,
Making
like
sure you don't have a heart attack when you turn 50.
that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And just, having a good understanding that, when we're sitting down, like we've been sitting down for over an hour now, just chatting, right?
Mm.
That's not altogether healthy, right? For posture, for a lot of things. And so,
Posture check. Is that you're saying posture check right now?
yeah, yeah. Well, I don't know if people watch me, I kind of go back and forward a lot, like, while we're talking, it's literally just trying to reset my posture. But
Mm.
I think that those things are important for other people to see. But as we said, I try to keep it at an hour. We're just over now, man. I could have talked to you all day.
Oh yeah. Mm.
I love getting to chat to people like yourself. I have two questions that we kind of finish up on.
Okay.
Before I ask those two questions, is there anything that you'd want to talk about or chuck in that we haven't had a chance to touch on?
I mean, like we kind of touched on a little bit earlier, but like other hobbies besides gaming and stuff like that.
Yeah, tell me
And
about them.
so,
We talked about it a little bit. Tell me about your music. Let's see the guitar as well. 'Cause you just
yeah,
bought a
yeah,
new
yeah,
guitar.
yeah. So, besides actually my first love, honestly, before gaming was actually music. I think actually was it? I think it was that same Christmas actually where I got my Xbox and Halo. I got my first guitar as well.
Wow. Yeah.
Of course, I think back in 2001, gaming was much more in the basement solo things. You play, it was more, you actually, it wasn't even online when the Xbox
Yeah.
launched,
Yeah.
right? Gaming back then was more just like playing like a good campaign. You get, 6 to 10 hours in shooter games, 40 hours on like RPG games, and that's all you would do. You play it one time through and you're done.
Yeah.
That's kind of like we touched on, we're like taking gaming from the basement to the mainstream,
Yeah.
and that's what's kind of happening right now. It's kind of a cool transition.
Mm.
It's like kind of like when I was in high school, where like people would like make fun of me for liking Star Wars, and now people look at you like, what, you don't like Star Wars?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a funny change. Hey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I love music. I've been playing guitar since 2001. I actually recently, yeah, you showed the new guitar. Recently, I just picked up this bad boy on steel. Um, Eddie Van Halen's
Look
brand
at
of
that.
guitar. I don't know if it kind of comes through. It looks a little more orange than it does, but yeah, like I love this thing. Got my
Is
first,
is
my
it
first.
is it like a shiny paint that's on it like that?
No, it's like a matte finish.
A matte finish. Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah,
thought so.
it just looks like that in the video.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it's like a satin matte finish. It's not like a glossy kind of finish or anything like that. It just looks like that on the video.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, like I love playing guitar. It's kind of stuff I've been trying to mess around with a little bit more of music stuff. Like if I wasn't doing Halo or gaming, or if I wasn't doing Halo and gaming, I probably would have like a music channel.
Yeah.
But of course, I like to watch. That's probably like that and like cooking are like the two things I like to do the most outside
Yeah.
of gaming.
Yeah.
And
But I've
so
been
that's
getting
like
into
my
cooking as well. I don't know if it's a thing about getting close to 30s and being in your 30s that cooking starts becoming this thing that's like, I think it's because it's super impressive if you can cook well, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
most people were just like, "Oh, wow, you made spaghetti. You're quite the chef." And I was like, I just add water and spaghetti sauce. Like, don't pat me on the back on that one.
yeah.
Now, if I'm able to make like a perfectly cooked steak or something,
Yeah.
then or like a well cooked burger,
Yeah.
then like yeah, that's
Yeah.
something more a little bit more challenging.
Yeah.
Right there.
For sure.
But like I've always loved cooking. That's like between like besides gaming, music videos and like cooking videos are like the main things I like to watch as well.
What's
And
your favorite genre of music?
definitely metal music. I'm a metal
Yeah.
guy. I mean,
Yeah.
like I'm wearing a Ghost T-shirt right here.
Yeah.
That's not even how as heavy as it goes. I mean, I like that's probably my main like I got into music through like listening to like Nirvana was like the band that really kind of got me into listening to music.
Yeah.
So I got into the whole grunge scene. That whole era is like near and dear to my heart. Love
Yeah.
the grunge scene era, like Soundgarden, Stone Temple Pilots, Nirvana, that whole thing. And I just kind of, and then like Linkin Park comes around. I absolutely love Linkin Park, Nine Inch Nails, Metallica was like a
Yeah.
game changer for me. It's like it took me from just like being a guy who strums chords to like a guy who actually can play solos from playing Metallica songs.
Yeah.
And of course, like Metallica is just basically the gateway drug to metal. And
It
then
is, isn't it?
I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, this is heavier. Oh,
Yeah.
that's heavier. That's kind of weird, but I kind of like it, kind of thing. Like, and they just like branches off to these million different subgenres and just like, yeah, I love like I mean, and plus like going to metal shows are fun just because like
So much
it's just
energy. Hey.
Oh, so much
So
energy
much
out there.
energy.
It's like, I mean, you jump into a circle pit, like you're just running around, running into people. Like, when else are you allowed to do that in real life? You know?
Yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah, I love shows. That's one thing I've missed so much with this pandemic, man, is just going to music shows. I love going to see live music. I saw like a cover band a couple weeks ago
mm,
because my friends were at a bar, like, hey, come see us. We're the 90s cover band over here. I'm like, sure. I just loved it. I'm like, oh my God, I forgot how much fun it is, like
yeah,
live music is. I absolutely love music.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, that's like something, another passion of mine would just be that. And just metal. Oh man, I love the metal. Love the metal. Like Trivium, Metallica, a little bit of Whitechapel there in there as well for some deathcore metal.
yeah,
Um, Ghost. I mean, gosh, Slipknot. Um, just like Gojira. I've been listening to a lot of Gojira recently as well. Recently, just love that band.
yeah.
So that's kind of like, yeah, that's my main jam right there.
Yeah, yeah. No, I love it, man. And it's good to hear those other passions in there as well. Because sometimes I think people can think of gamers as super one-minded, right?
hmm
You know, but
Well, because like it's, I think with gamers, like they, the experience is created for you, and your job is to, experience it firsthand. And so people kind of think like, oh, you just jump on the box and up comes a mushroom,
yeah,
it's so much more than that, but yeah, you're experiencing something that's been created and curated for you to enjoy.
yeah,
Where like where music is something that's something more personal and subjective of how you like it and how you experience it, really.
yeah, yeah,
Mm.
definitely. Well, okay. So the last two questions, I'm glad we got to touch on that though, because I find it super interesting, and I want to hear you play sometime. So, do you ever play on your stream?
I've done a couple streams where I play. I mean, like I said, I'm so focused on like trying to get the platform up to a spot to where like I don't have to try so hard to compete with everyone else.
Yeah,
So I'm really Halo focused, but like I mean, if there's been some nights where I'm just like, man, I'm so burned on Halo right now, and I started to do like a music stream a couple times.
yeah,
On my second channel, my like KevinKoolx Shorts channel, I think is what's called right now. Might rebrand it to what something else, but like I've been doing some music videos on there, like a putting up some different kind of riffs or things I put up just for fun of it, like whenever the time comes, really.
yeah.
So if you ever want to catch me doing like music stuff, like check out my second channel. That'd be the place to go do it.
Awesome, cool. Well, I'll make sure I have that in the description for everyone else because I know I'm gonna go check it out.
But yeah,
Um,
it's super casual. Don't expect much out of it, but it's like whenever I have extra time and want to do something else besides Halo or have
yeah,
like a cool clip from Halo, then that's what I put it up on there.
yeah, awesome. All right. Well, so last two questions that we touch on is if you see yourself 5 years from now, what's like the dream reality for yourself? So uh,
Yeah.
I'll
Ooh.
give you a little bit more of a spiel on it so you can think about it, right?
Okay.
So 5 years, it's like, are you someone that is, working full time doing your Twitch streaming, YouTube? Have you got the house paid off from that type of thing now? Have you got kids by that time? Are you just a healthier, fitter version of yourself doing the same things? Have you started a business? Are you, like what's the, if there was no
hmm
holds, holding you back 5 years from now, where would you like to be?
I mean, yeah, like doing content creation full time would be awesome. It's making it doing something entertaining for people to enjoy is something that I've always wanted to do.
Mm,
It's probably why I got into playing guitar, because I wanted to, bring enjoyment and happiness and entertain people in some capacity. I remember being a kid, I always wanted to like, I remember I wanted to be the camera guy recording movies. Because I don't know, so sometimes being something involved with like entertainment,
mm,
it's always something I always wanted to do. So like, if I could live up through that as a dream through doing content creation, which is kind of like the new, way of people to get, that entertainment uh niche out or whatever.
yeah, definitely.
Absolutely would love to do that. If I can like stretch it out to be like more of like a business or something like that, or maybe, I mean, hell, I don't know, branding, if that's even a possible thing, or like, people want to buy KevinKoolx controllers or something. I don't know. I mean, I started making t-shirts like on Teespring and stuff like that,
Yeah, I saw you
trying
did
to find.
the button combo one, which is really cool. The BXR, and
Yeah.
yeah,
Actually, funny thing, I actually had Tashi from 343 hit me up. He's like, hey, just to let you know that like for us, like we're thinking about doing a similar type of shirt or kind of a thing. Just want to let you know that we're not trying to copy you, just great minds think alike kind of thing. I'm
yeah,
like, yeah, I got a good idea there then. I
good
need to
pattern.
start pushing that. I need to start doing some more things with that because it's been super stale. I've been ignoring it. But yeah, like because I just love like because like right now, like with content creation, like it's like one part of my life where I'm feeling like really significant growth in my life. Besides obviously like building a family, buying a house, marrying somebody, future kids. I'm hoping by like 5 years from now have at least one kid, maybe two. We'll see. I couldn't see much more than two. I grew up with as a family of four kids.
Yeah,
And that was, I couldn't imagine doing that. That'd be a lot, especially my mom being a single mom at the time too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, like, yeah, I can see that working full time, like from home. Like I could just see, I can already see like the routine of like during the day, working from home, creating content, watching the kids kind of thing.
Mm.
Then, and then, wife comes home from work. I stay home, watch the kids, and then she does her thing to relax and things like that.
Yeah.
I kind of see the routine happening. At least that's the
Yeah,
dream
you've got it
setup right
planned
there.
out, man. You've got it all manifested right now. It's just needs to be
Now
put.
the only problem is I gotta do it.
Yeah, yeah. That's always the hardest part, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Of course, like, yeah, I mean, making YouTube as a career, or content creation a career, does sound more stressful because all the effort is on you to make it work. It's not a 9 to 5 job. You just clock in, clock out. The work's done for you. You just need to do it. Where in the content creation side of things, like, it's all on you to make it work.
yeah,
So that's where that's extra level of stress. Again, that's where kind of like where if I were ever to make that transition, it'd be something I could see it working for quite some time, beyond just like, the views for a day.
yeah, yeah. No, that's awesome. And the last question is, obviously, I get everyone to suggest someone that they think would add value to the conversation. That'd be great for the community to hear more about. Maybe they've got an interesting story, or somebody that you have looked up to. And would be good for us to be able to chat to as well. But who would you like to kind of tag in for me to chat to next?
Tag. You're in. Oh man, that's a good question. I think someone actually might have some interesting opinions on things, or he already does do this with his videos now. Uh, Ascend Hyperion. I don't know if you've
Okay.
ever heard of him.
I have, yeah.
Yeah, I like love his videos. I've been watching his stuff, back when he was doing like Forge videos. He tried doing like machinima, really freaking well done machinima videos.
Yeah.
And then now he's doing kind of more commentary, discussion topic kind of videos. So he's definitely somebody who can, like, has opinions about Halo, who can definitely share them with you. And he has some interesting ones as well, that he backs up his opinions with like um logical thought processes behind them,
Yeah.
rather than just being like, I like it, so
Yeah.
it's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, he's also like another guy who like does full-time job. He has a pretty good job, I think, right now. And so I think it'd be kind of a cool, he's talking about how he's taken like his real life work and kind of applied it to Halo and like content creation. I think it'd be kind of I think Ascend Hyperion. I think he's an up and coming guy as well. I think you like it. That people would like
Beautiful.
to
I'm
listen from
looking
him.
forward to chatting with him. I'll let you message him first and say, hey, you're going to get him a DM from Divine Mind, and we'll get him on here to chat when he's got an opportunity.
Mhm.
It's so exciting, guys. Like, if you're not subscribed to the podcast already, definitely do it. Check out all Kevin's stuff down below. I've got right now, I think it's a list of 8 people that have either been tagged in, I've been trying to get in contact with. Some of them we've had to fill out forms to get, to make sure that it's, we're okay to chat with them. So, there's a lot of really exciting guests coming up, and we've just added another really interesting guest as well. So make sure you subscribe to be able to see more. Dude, thank you so much for your time. It was
Well, thank
good.
you for taking the time to chat. I know I mean, I probably got a little bit over time, but like, I feel like
You've just
being
taken
like,
the record, by the way.
I mean, like, well, I mean, my part-time job, I spend a lot of time just talking about Halo, and then you get me talking about Halo. Well, it's kind of like, I just start going.
No, it's good, and I don't think anyone's going to complain about it, right? It's really great to have had the chance to talk with you, and I told you I've been a fan of your content now for about 3 years already. I've been watching your stuff consistently, so
Oh,
it's
thank you
really
so
great for
much.
me to it's really great for me to get to know you more as well. And all the best going into Infinite, leading up to it. You're already starting to see some success, but I honestly believe that pretty much everyone we have on this podcast, when I get to talk to them for an hour or so, and we go into quite a bit of depth about their journey, you can see that these are people that are going to be successful going into Halo Infinite. And I think that, you're someone that really deserves that success. So I can't wait to see you blow up and have, heaps of things come your way. And, if there's anything that we can do, although our following isn't huge, if there's anything that we can do to help you out, then let me know, because, we want to see everybody successful in the scene. So thank you so much for taking the time to come and chat to me. I appreciate it a lot.
No, appreciate the time, man. It was good conversation. Feels good. Yeah.
And for everybody that tuned in, thank you so much for listening or watching this episode of the podcast as well. You know, your feedback is really important to us. So if you've got any feedback on things that we should improve or add into the podcast, then make sure you leave it down in the comments below. You know, a reminder that I really want to hear about your favorite custom game that you used to play nonstop with your friends back in the day. I'd love to touch on that memory. But I'll see everybody in the next episode of the podcast. See ya.